Hold on.
We're live. Doesn't matter. Welcome to Tesla Talks.
It is the third week.
It is the third week. Okay, welcome to Tesla Talks podcast, folks. My name is Dax. This is, like my guest says, it is the third week of June. I almost said May or March. Thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for joining us. If you're listening and if you're watching, it doesn't matter. I'm just glad you're joining us. We have a special guest here tonight. Of course, we have Franklin's joining us from Mother Frunker, but we have a special guest here tonight. His name is DJ from Tesla Tidbits. Welcome to the show, DJ.
Thank you kindly for inviting me. Good to be here.
No, thanks for coming on and helping us out. Now, if I call you Richard, don't ask me where that came from, but if I call you Richard throughout the night, I apologize, and people listening at home or watching at home, I don't get confused because I'm confused too. Okay, before we get, just before we got on, I was saying, we have a light news list, a handful of stuff to talk about. But then in the last hour, these guys, I've been too busy doing other stuff, but these guys told me there's some interesting things that came out in the last hour. So we're going to get to that in a little bit. But before that, I just want to do a little housekeeping things. If you have any questions and you're watching this live on YouTube, just ask your question down below in the comments. We're going to be monitoring the comment section, and if your question, which have we ever had a question that we never answered? No,
we've answered all of them.
Yes, we always answer.
Sometimes our answers aren't great.
No,
but we attempt to answer all the questions. That's what's important, right?
Yes, that's the most important thing. So if you're listening to this at home, because you can listen to this in your car or while you're doing chores or going for a run or stuff like that, because this is on a podcast, right? So if you're listening to it, or if you haven't listened to it, is what I should say, you can listen to it in your car on TuneIn Radio or Apple Podcast system. You can download it and play it whenever you want. Sometimes it's a little long, these shows, so sometimes you can break it up and come back to when you've got some more time. So that's for your convenience. You get the audio experience out of it. You don't get the visual experience with YouTube. I mean, you can always watch it later, but you don't get it live because, there's some stuff sometimes we talk about and we show interactively. I try to bring up screenshots of websites and tweets and stuff like that, which we've got some tonight. So if you're listening to it, it's almost like it's in, what is it, in the 50s or the 60s, where you have to just imagine where they're like telling stories on the radio. Franklin has no idea what I'm talking about. Anyways, without any further ado, you know what? Like I've always said, before we get to the news, I want to take a few minutes, especially our new guests that haven't been on the show before, just to get to know people. It doesn't have to. I don't believe in just saying, "Hey, welcome to the show," and you're a new guest, and expect everyone to know who you are and not, delve into your personal life. So DJ was nice enough to, agree to come on and tell us a little bit about himself and bring his credit card out and give us the last four digits of his credit card. So we want to start with your credit card, DJ?
It's 1111 1111. I know you don't believe this.
And it ends in a 2. No, yeah. All jokes aside, let the audience know a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind. Where are you from?
So, as I typically say on the show, on the YouTube show that I do occasionally, I'm in lovely North Central Ohio. North Central Ohio. Yeah, so kind of the middle upper third of the state, so to say. But I've been doing the Tesla Tidbits show for 4 years now. My Tesla love started actually long before that, when I heard and found out about the Roadster, but was like, there's no way I will ever own one of those because that is just way out of my price range. And then Model S came along and I said the same thing. More on that in a moment. So then Model 3 came around. They announced it, and like the night of the reveal, I found out that they were doing the reveal. I'm like, oh, geez, I gotta jump in on this live stream and see what this is gonna be. And like everybody else out there that's probably watching this was just blown away by what Model 3 was. So then I started having to just consume every bit of info that I possibly could. in an effort to ensure that I didn't like get divorced because my wife was tired of hearing about Tesla. That's when I started my show. And then it would be about a little over a year after I started my show. So this would have been July of 2017. I couldn't take it anymore. I was driving a Honda Civic LX that had 180,000 miles on it and had about $4,000 worth of maintenance due. And I just happened to be perusing the Tesla CPO site, and I found a 2015 Model S 85D that actually had autopilot on it, which at the time, finding autopilot on any car on the CPO site was like next to impossible. And so I called my wife and I said, hey, I think I'm going to buy a car. And so I did. So I am the proud owner of a Model S 85D in multi-coat red. And yeah, it's been great. Be 3 years owning it next month, and I love that car to death. I can't say I don't have a little bit of buyer's remorse when I see all the folks out there with the newer cars and can actually do all the cool, fun stuff that I can't do with Autopilot 1. But my wife is in the market for a car right now, and it's down to either a Model Y or a Honda Pilot. And she seems to maybe be
big difference.
Yeah, there's a small difference there for a lot of reasons. But now the biggest thing, she really kind of wants a 7-seat vehicle. I pointed out to her that we have a 5-person family, so we don't really 7 seats is a luxury. And
are you married to my wife?
Well, sometimes we do go some places with other people, and it'd be nice to just all go in the same car.
We have a front.
So I did tweet the other day. I said, hey, Elon, it'd be really nice to know, like, soon when that 7-seater is going to be available to order, because my wife would really like it. Yeah. You get another $3,000 from us. So, yeah, she seems to be leaning to the Model Y. And believe me, that's saying a lot for her, because I really, really made her tired of hearing about Tesla. So we'll see what she does here. But, yeah, she's still kind of soliciting feedback from other people that are not Tesla fanatics like myself and seeing what they have to say.
She can talk to us. We'll help her out.
Oh,
I'm sure you would.
Now, I got a question for you, or maybe for your wife. Like, okay, you guys, you're a family of 5, and I get the whole 7-seater, but has she seen the Cybertruck? That has 6 seats, and I just did a video about the 6th seat in the center. So that's always an option, is it not?
The quote from my wife about the Cybertruck is, if I brought that ugly ass thing home, then I will expect to be divorced.
Okay, wait a minute, stop. You are married to my wife. Or we're married to the same woman. Did she hear me? Because
down what, Dax?
she's gonna come running down those stairs in a second. No, that's buddy. That's exactly what my wife thinks about it. But she's eased up a little bit on it now. So
I told her, I said, there's so many times when we could just use a truck so badly, and if I could have a truck that still has over 300 miles range, or nearabouts 300 miles range, and it's a truck, I don't really like the aesthetics of it either, but you really can't fault the utility of it and the pricing.
True, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's Anyway, we don't have much Cybertruck news, so we'll take
Listen, we can always talk about Cybertruck.
I know. Just look behind you.
Thought with that background there.
I know.
I am like probably the most obsessed person you will meet in terms of the Cybertruck. I cannot wait to take delivery.
I was driving. Anyways, I'm going to sound like such a Tesla nerd by telling this story, so I'm not even going to tell you this story.
Now we're interested. Okay, towards the end, if we have time.
Yes. We're going to do that little... Do you have a little story of the week? Can you think of something between now and then?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay, I will save mine till then. Okay, so that's interesting, DJ. You have... so you don't have a 3, you have an S. I think you're probably the first... Correct me if I'm wrong, Franklin. Is he the first special guest on our show that didn't have a 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
correct.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh my! I feel...
But
So
no. Yeah, you should be honored because you're rare, right?
Well, you kind of helped the people who have 3s get a 3, right? That's how I see it.
Yep.
I guess. I mean, I didn't buy it new, but I guess I did buy it before the 3 was. No, the 3 was launched when I bought it, but it was like just launched.
You mean launched or revealed?
Launched, because this was July 2017.
So is that when they're making like 2 a week?
Yeah, when they made the 6th for July.
Very early.
Yes.
And I was looking at it, I'm like, because I wanted a all-wheel drive, but not performance. So I would have had to wait another year, I think it ended up being, to get the car that I wanted. And I don't know that Civic would have lasted that long, because I had just taken a job where I had to drive 142 miles round trip daily.
Wow.
So you do some math on that. There's a reason that my car I bought it with 20,000 miles not quite 3 years ago, and it has 135,000 miles on it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well,
now,
I was going to say, like, you mentioned autopilot and having version 1. It wasn't until the last, like, 12 months, I want to say, 6 to 8 months maybe, that you've started to see a noticeable difference, where the new version of it caught up and probably surpassed it. Because Tesla had to start from scratch, right? From 1 to 2, or 2.5 to 3 or whatever. So you actually had like a huge benefit for the longest of time. We didn't actually start seeing an improvement until, let's use the word recently, relatively speaking, right? So
yeah, but now the improvements that you have are so much more than what I've got. I know you guys had to tough it out for a while there, because it was about a year before you guys even approached parity with AP1, if I remember right. But now, we're going to talk about some of that later in the show. With this, the traffic control device, being able to obey those and all that fun stuff and navigate on autopilot. I mean, it really feels like, full self-driving is like this close to the promise that it's made.
I like them ready, Dax.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, that's why I was laughing. Okay, getting back to your podcast, your little tidbits. How often do you do that for the people at home?
So the goal is to do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I used to be a daily show, and then my personal life was taking a bit of a hit trying to make sure that happened, because essentially, I get home, and especially now that I have the little one that you guys got to see pre-show, she demands a lot of attention, and so basically,
it's funny how they do that, eh?
Yeah, they tend to.
They're so selfish.
Yeah,
get your own food.
They are.
Yes,
but because of her mostly, I just couldn't do it anymore, because what it boiled down to is it would get to 10 o'clock at night, like right now, and I would just now be starting to write the show, and that's not including actually producing it, editing it, and publishing it. So, if I have a good night, it'll take me 3 hours to write, produce, edit, and publish. That's if it's a very good night.
Wow.
Typically, it's going to be 4 hours plus for my tiny little I shoot for 5 to 6 minutes tops for each show. So,
which is, I've learned, is a sweet spot for, I don't know if it's YouTubers or just people on the internet in general. Let's say YouTubers. It's the sweet spot for their attention span. I found in the last couple months, and I was talking to a friend, also a YouTuber, a couple days ago, saying, you know what, it's just people's attention span as a society these days in general, but especially with YouTube. Or you know what it is? Even I'll narrow it down even finer. It's Tesla YouTube enthusiasts, people that go on YouTube and watch Tesla stuff. They don't have any tolerance for anything over 6 or 7 minutes, is what I found out.
Well, I'm an avid podcast listener, and outside of just Tesla stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so the reason I came up with the idea that I did, and as far as I'm aware, I was the first daily show that there was. Was my other podcast. I had they have questions, comments, whatever on the next show, and get a bunch of people saying your podcast is too long, your podcast is too long, your podcast is too long. And after seeing that happen out over several shows, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe my niche here, because at the time the shows that were out there were Ride the Lightning, Talking Tesla, Tesla Show, and I'm trying to remember. I feel like there's another one I'm forgetting. Back in 2016, those were already weekly shows. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? What do I bring that's different, right?
Yep.
I said, what I can do that's different is I can really distill this down, give this to you more frequently, and there you go. So that's kind of why I ended up where I was, kind of in the Tesla personality sphere.
And that's the perfect name for it, Tidbits, right? Because that's really what it is. Yeah.
Well, people do, not just Tesla, but people in general have a really short attention span.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
Just people in general. I had a whole psychology course on this, and you have to basically catch someone's attention really quickly. So the whole concept of daily tidbits makes a lot of sense, or 3 times a week tidbits makes a lot of sense, because the short attention span, you're going to capture people's attention quickly, right?
Yeah.
That's like when I started my channel, I did the same type idea. I wanted to focus on content, but like really speedy, and I got a lot of comments were like, wow, this is so nice, such a change of pace, right? Or, just get straight to it. And then some people are like, slow down. So
No, you know what, buddy? You were one of the first people, Franklin, that I know that did it. And you've done it for a while, where, yeah, within the first 10 seconds, other than, watching or looking at the thumbnail and reading the title, in the first 10 seconds, you know what you're gonna start talking about in that video. I didn't do that. I failed to see that writing on the wall. I would go on for the first 2 minutes, and people commented. People used to comment on my videos, and I took it as creative criticism and took it to heart and stuff. People used to say, 3 minutes in, and you still haven't mentioned what you're talking about. And they would, these keyboard warriors. And then lately, I've noticed there's a couple. Ryan Shaw, when he talked about his Model Y and stuff, he was one also very talented and quick to talk about within the first 10 seconds what they're talking about on the show or on that episode or video. And Tailosive EV, he's a new guy on. Actually, you know what? I was talking to him earlier this week on social media, and he's gonna come on in the next few weeks. He said he's gonna come on. Yeah, so yeah, that guy's brilliant. He knows his stuff. He's very well versed in Tesla, and he also, within the first 5 seconds, it's like he cuts all the the customary hello, how you doing, welcome. No, he just gets right into it, which is good. I like that.
Yeah. I watch a lot of people, YouTube content creators, where that's what they are, and I was thinking about it for myself, like as a viewer, what do I want to see, right? So
yeah, no, it would be nice if you could say, hey, welcome to the show, and this is what I was thinking at first, right? Like, you warm up and check in with your audience.
People don't care about you.
Yeah, but then that's what buddy, that's exactly what I've come to realize. I've come to realize, what, they click on that button, and whatever they read that thumbnail was, or they read the title is, they click on that button. They want you to get right into it, like right away. Anyways, enough about that. That's folks.
Speaking of getting to the point,
yeah. Oh, buddy, DJ, you'll get to know that I'm tangent boy. I get off on tangents all the time.
Tangent boy.
Yeah, I know. It's like. But I will rewind what you said a little bit about your wife wanting to get a Y. You know what? This was not supposed to be our first topic. So, guys, I know we have a list, and I said we're going to go in order as much as we can. But let's talk about this while on that topic. You might want to tell your wife to maybe hold off. And I know she said the 7-seater, so that might work out good in your favor. Because now, this isn't the first time we've heard this in the last few weeks. Speaking of Ryan Shaw has had some issues with his Model Y. And this article is brought to us by Inside EVs. It's typical for Tesla. And, I guess it's typical for any car company whenever you're bringing out a new model or a new line where there's changes and stuff like that. There's going to be growing pains. But I was hoping, and maybe I was foolish to hope, and maybe you guys can let me know if I was foolish or if you were thinking the same thing. I was hoping that with the Model Y being so close to the Model 3 and being, what is it, 75%. I thought maybe they would iron out all those kinks and stuff like that. They seem to have done it with production. Production's doing a lot better than the Model 3 production ramp up was, but they're still plagued by these problems from delivery, from production. These little tiny and sometimes they aren't big things. Sometimes they're just small things. And paint is a whole category in itself. We could talk all night about paint. But paint aside, then you're talking about panel gaps. And I've never been one. I don't know about you guys. I've never been one big person on studying panel gaps and thinking it's a bad thing or like. All cars are going to have that to some extent, right? So I'm not nitpicking about panel gaps, but it's just little other things that I was watching a video today from our friend Brian from My One Tesla, and because of his trunk being misaligned, which he was going to take it and they were going to align it and fix it, all part of the panel gaps, he's getting water in his rubber gasket channel that seals the trunk when it closes, and it's getting inside the rubber gasket, not just down in the channel where the metal is and the rubber is, but in that actual rubber trim. So little things like that. And in this article, they're talking mainly about Ben Sullins and his Model Y delivery issues, as he says here, that he made a video about. Did any of you guys get a chance to watch this video? I
actually did watch this video today, and funny enough, my wife walked in the last 30 seconds of the video and saw the title and goes, "Well, how much is this car gonna nickel dime us if we buy it?" And I'm like, I know we're having a little bit of PTSD from the Subaru just nickel diming us to death over the last 7 years. But chill, it's going to be okay. Did you watch it, Dax?
I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up because I meant to watch it, but I didn't get a chance.
Did you get it, Franklin?
No, not yet.
I'll comment on it.
Yeah, welcome to the show, DJ.
so he actually brought up 5 things that he was bringing up there. The most egregious, and I'd be pretty pissed about this too. So as we all know, Model 3 doesn't have the auto open close trunk, but Model Y does have the auto open and close hatchback. And that was the most egregious problem he had, where he said that 7 out of 10 times when he pops the button to close the hatchback, just like I would with my Model S, it does not actually latch. And in the video, he did it, and it did it to him.
Wow.
So that was the most egregious of his complaints, to be honest. The second, probably the second most important one was his charge flap was badly misaligned. I got to think that's something that's pretty easily fixable. I probably wouldn't have took delivery with it, to be honest, because I'd be like, hey, can't you fix that before I take delivery of this car? Because that just seems odd. Let's see. Third was panel gaps on the frunk, which probably... So usually when you have panel gap problems on the frunk, or the trunk actually for that matter, at least with Model S, I don't know if Model 3 is the same way, but if you look on a Model S, there's actually screws that you can twist that change how the hood or the trunk is aligned. I suspect that's all that was the problem with his hood on there. Trying to remember what the fourth thing, and I actually have noticed this on my Model S. So the little piece of, for me, chrome that lines the bottom of the windowsills, at the back of his car on the passenger, or on the driver's side rear door, you can look and see how kind of if I'm like this, as you're coming toward the front of the car, you could kind of see how you could see this piece of that trim. It was misaligned. And then the last thing he had, and this is really inexcusable, and I've actually noticed this after I've had my car in for service, but I noticed it too late, and it was like, well, what can I say now? Whoever delivered the car or worked on the car last or whatever apparently had some dirty hands and touched the ceiling and left fingerprints on the ceiling. On the I would have been pretty pissed about that on a brand new car. But no, you're gonna fix that. That's gonna happen. I don't care how it does, because I'm not taking a brand new car that's got your dirty fingerprints on it. So that was the 5 things he brought up in the video.
Well, thanks.
I watched quite a few delivery videos, and I'm not saying there's no excuse for Tesla, right? These are things that should be corrected. So don't take it that way. But with any new product, and I'm not talking about cars specifically, any new product, early batches are obviously going to have more problems as they correct the situations as they go forward, right? So, I mean, like, okay, so the Cybertruck, I can have Cybertruck VIN number 1. I'll be happy knowing that I'm just going to have all those problems, right?
Because you know ahead of time.
If you know what you're walking into. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct, right? But I mean, if you're someone new to Tesla and you're ordered to put money on a Y and you're walking into all these problems, it's going to turn you off pretty quickly, right? Especially if you're not expecting it. So, not to excuse those problems, but then, so I didn't watch this video particularly or specifically. Well, like I said, I watched quite a few, and I noticed a lot of people complain about panel gaps. It's like the biggest issue for different things, right? And if you start looking around at any branded car, they all have panel gap problems. And I'm not talking like low end, I'm talking high end cars too.
Yeah.
Where they're not all like perfect all the way around. So, I mean, it's just a general problem that the automotive industry has that, again, there's some that are really bad. The Model Y that I saw in Toronto, which was their testing vehicle before the mass deliveries, or I guess mass deliveries now, but that one had like the worst panel gaps I've ever seen on a vehicle. Like I could put my whole hand through, right? But again, it was a testing vehicle, so
right, yeah. There's a little bit of extenuating circumstances there.
Yeah.
So you figure, okay, maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to say because I know I see a lot of these videos and the complaints are justified, but at the same time, it's like you're taking an early build, so you kind of have to be aware that these are the things you're going to have to go through, and you're going to have to make service appointments to have Tesla fix it, right?
Well, yeah,
So.
and that's it. You know what? I echo exactly what you're saying, Franklin. It's like, for me, panel gaps isn't a big deal. And people get fixated on panel gaps, and they
It's amazing.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
The comments you see.
It's like they want to judge the car on panel gaps, but like you said, every manufacturer has the same problem. So panel gaps for me isn't a big thing. What it is for me, it's the fit and finish, and the fit and finish for me, even before Tesla, when I was buying gas cars and stuff like that, you know, fit and finish for me was a big thing. That's why I stuck to the imports usually, and I didn't do the domestics because of the fit and finish, because I thought, you know, that's important to me. Never even, you know what? It's funny. I never even heard the term panel gaps until Tesla came along. I kid you not. But what Tesla has to, and this can make or, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like this can make or break them, but they better, you know, clean this up, because this could get really bad and give them a black eye. Because
with Model 3, I thought the latest that I've kind of seen with Model 3, and of course with S and X, since they're the veteran cars out there, I haven't really seen the complaints on 3S and X at all really lately. Like, it seemed like after about a year to 18 months of producing 3, like that panel gap situation, I really didn't see people complaining so much about that. And just to kind of add on to both of you guys, we're all in the same boat here. Like, panel gaps to me, I mean, to your point with the one that was the test vehicle where you can kind of put a hand in there, yeah, that's egregious. That's pretty bad. Like, I would have had a problem with that. Yeah. But, you know, it's the same thing. I didn't ever like think about panel gaps until I got into the Tesla world. And so I went and looked at my Model S and like, yeah, there's some, you know, if you look at my frunk, it's a little bit misaligned, and, you know, it's a little bit tighter on one side than the other, barely, but you really got to be looking for it. I'm like, you know, that's not the type of thing that I get bent out of shape. You know, it's got to be some functionality situation. Like, for instance, the trunk that he was the hatchback that Ben had the issue with there, and then including that charge port flap too. That's, you know, those are actual functional problems that you've got going on there. Where with that flap being misaligned, you're hitting paint where you shouldn't be hitting paint. You know, that's a bad mojo there. You know, when your hatchback doesn't close right, well, you can throw cargo out the back. That's not good.
Well, you just said something important, right? It's when it's problems that are functional problems is the biggest issue, right? Yeah. And those are the ones you have to get fixed, right? Yeah. The minor, when I say minor, like that was a test vehicle, so I'm assuming Tesla said, "Hey, let's slap this together. We need to get like northern winter testing, because that's when they need research." So they kind of slapped that vehicle together as fast as possible, I'd imagine, right? So, hold on one second.
Somebody is ringing.
Yeah. No, I get it. And just to finish off, and we'll move on to the next topic. Just to finish off, just like, you know, it's when somebody mentioned it earlier. They should have refused the car on delivery, and it's easier said than done. I mean, so many people have been waiting for their cars. Yeah. So we know that that's rarely going to happen. Not to say that it doesn't happen, and I couldn't blame anyone for not taking a car and refusing it. But it's when they say, you know what, take the car and set it an appointment, and we'll fix it. You know what? They're almost getting away with it, and they're almost excusing it by being able to do that. And you do that, and you make an appointment, and they try to fix it, but then they don't fix it, and then you got to make another appointment. You got to, and, then it's becoming an inconvenience for you. And if you're new to Tesla and you're a new person getting into the world of Tesla, that's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. And if you walk away and you go back to the ICE car, what do you think those people are going to tell all their friends and family?
Yeah, right, yeah. Exactly. Well, and to your point too, I had the same optimistic hopes as you did, Dax, with, hey, it's 75% a Model 3, so this thing should slap together and fit and be great. And, all the stuff that they learned from Model 3 should just transfer, and we shouldn't have all these growing pains at the start of production. And no.
Yeah. Which worries me about the Cybertruck.
I think you made a good point, though, DJ, where, like, my VIN's 27,000 on my 3, which is relatively low, considering they're, in hundreds of thousands, 500,000, right? So I got mine. Like Dax, we got ours like a year and a couple months after production started. It's relatively quick. Yeah. And like we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago with Paul when Paul was here, Tesla Canuck. We're saying that like our cars are fantastic. Like so when I took delivery, it was like the mass delivery. They're doing like 1,000 a day or 1,500 a day or whatever, and because we're at the International Center. And I remember, like, people like, check your panel gap. And again, no idea. So I, like, went around inspecting my car. My car was great. So I'm like, all right, this is fantastic. I took it home, and I had no problems, right? So I think it's what you're saying, too. As they make more, they will fine-tune. Obviously, it's crappy for the people who are getting early builds, obviously. But they're fine-tuning. And I haven't, like, I hear a lot of people taking deliveries of 3s, S's, and X. But those problems are farther few in between than they used to be. It's not like a common thing, right? So they're getting better, and it's just practice makes perfect. I guess, right?
They can do it with their eyes closed now with the S's and X, and probably to the most extent, probably the 3 too. So it's growing pains, right? So we expect it. We forgive them for it, but they should get a little bit better with it. I don't want to sound like a Tesla fanboy because
service needs to improve the most.
Oh, buddy. Yeah,
we should do a whole like 10-hour special on service.
But hey, we can 10-hour special. Since we have light news, let's just take a side jaunt down the service because it's kind of funny. So, without giving away too much, where are you two located?
Ontario.
Oh, yes,
you're both in Ontario. Okay,
the small province of Ontario.
so. Northern or southern? Like, are you kind of in the same general area?
Southern Ontario, the Greater Toronto area.
You would go to?
We're in the Toronto area.
Okay,
so we actually have 4 service centers. No, we have 4 service centers here, or we're getting a 4th one.
So I hear people complain about service, and maybe I'm just lucky. So I'm in Ohio, and I actually have a choice because I'm in North Central Ohio. I'm pretty equidistant from the service center that's near Cleveland and the one that's in Columbus. The one that's in Columbus is a new building that they moved into and they outfitted, and it's so much nicer. So I always go to that one. And I gotta tell you, I have like those people at the Columbus, Ohio Service Center. My hat is off to you guys because I have had nothing but awesome experiences at that service center. Like, it's been amazing. And I hear the horror stories where like, oh, this, that, and the other thing that, I waited or whatever. And I got to tell you that I have never had the experience that some of y'all have had out there. Those folks down in Columbus I got to give them kudos. It's great.
Yeah, I think the people at the service center are really nice. I think the biggest problem with service, honestly, is how it's operated within Tesla. So you have Tesla head office here, and then you have Tesla service over here. They run as 2 totally separate entities that are not connected. And you start to learn this if you have a problem, you want to go higher up. and you start making calls, and then without getting into details, I know I tweeted out one day, and people were like, "Oh, you're lying," but I have no reason to lie. Like, I'm very for Tesla, right? But long story short, Tesla head office promised me something. They sent it to the service center closest to me. Service center called me and canceled and said that I can't do that. But I have it in writing that head office sent me an email saying, yes, we're going to do this and this for you. And then the service center said no. So I went back to head office, and head office goes, well, we can't do nothing for you. It's up to the service center. So,
really? It's the tail wagging a dog there.
So that's when you kind of realize their biggest problems stem because it's two separate entities, right?
Wow.
So that's my whole story, and I can tell you like horror stories within the Toronto area service centers because I talk to a lot of people, especially locally, and we just in an unfortunate situation, I guess, in comparison to what you have, right?
Yeah.
But
and we're not nitpicking either. It's like for the most part they're fine, but when the service screws up, they screw up.
On the opposite side, though, mobile service
is awesome.
Has been the best experience I've ever had, and I've never had any problems with mobile service. They've always done an excellent job. Every person who I've talked to said mobile service is amazing. So I find a lot of the problems are happening at the actual service center, not the mobile guys are the best people that they have, right?
I wish that you could just say, because when you schedule a service appointment in the app, you have to pick a service center. I wish you could just say, I want mobile service for something that they could handle definitely with mobile service. Because I've had two experiences with mobile service, and it's been the most pleasant car repair experience I've ever had. One was my 12-volt battery needed replaced. They were supposed to come to my work to do it. Work told me, hey, you got to go to this other place off-site during the time that was supposed to happen. So I called them. They're like, yeah, no problem. We can go to this other place instead. And they actually finished my repair without me even knowing it. And they just called me and say, hey, we need a credit card to pay. And that was it. And I'm like, that is awesome. That's amazing. And
yeah, like
the other
you can't
one
get better than that, right?
A trunk latch problem, that same thing where they told me they were coming and they said they were there, and then they actually did notify me they were there for this one, and then about an hour or so later they're like, okay, it's fixed, and I went down with my credit card and handed it to the guy, and that was it. So yeah, mobile service absolutely rocks.
It rocks.
You know how you said the ones near you are doing an excellent job? The ones in Toronto or the GTA area are fantastic. I had my horn go, one of the horns went on my car. They came to fix it, and the guy's like, hey, did you order this and this? And he had a whole bunch of upgraded parts. And I'm just like, yeah, go ahead. Thank you. Right. And that's all part of warranty. And I'm just like, oh, cool. Thanks. And
I thought you were going to say he was trying to upsell you.
No, not at all. Right.
Like a vendor.
Just on your account. Hey, you're due these things. Why don't I just do it for you? That's awesome.
Well, it's funny because one of them was
like Mr. Lube.
The charging latch. So Dax, have you had yours replaced? Because yours should be
the charging latch.
Yeah.
You mean the whole assembly?
Yeah.
3 times.
Well, I had mine frozen.
I've got the best one now.
In the morning of, the first time I've ever had mine freeze. It's like the one time it's frozen in 2 years of ownership. And later that day he comes, he's like, yeah, we have an improved one, so the freezing doesn't happen. I'm like, wait a second, I just had that happen this morning for the first time ever, right? Because I've never experienced it, because I always preheat my car and never experienced frozen doors or anything. So it's just, I was like, oh, cool, this guy's reading my mind or something, right?
Mobile service is awesome, and I wish I had it yesterday. Yesterday I took my Toyota Tacoma, my gas car, in for an oil change and a couple other minor things. Just speaking of fit and finish, even a Toyota needs it too. You'd think they'd been making cars for a long time, but it just goes to show you, getting back to what I was saying. Anyways, I get there and the guy says it's all this COVID, all these instructions, and where you can sit and where you can line up and stand and what you got to do when you get in there and give your keys. So I get through all that. I guess I passed their little quiz.
You got to take your snapshot of the QR code.
Buddy, it was like jumping through hoops. So I got all that done, and then he's like, okay, so we'll call you in 2.5 hours. You can have a seat in our in our waiting room, but just don't sit next to anyone else. I'm like, well, I need to go home. And he goes, well, we don't have our shuttle due to COVID. I'm like, I don't want a shuttle. I said, in my extended warranty package I bought, and a lot of people look at me and say, you're an idiot for buying that. Well, it worked out good. But in there, it said that when I come in for service, I get a free loaner. So I said to the guy, I'd like a loaner. And he goes, oh, we don't have loaners. And I said, well, I can't stay here. I said, I got my kids at home, right? Yeah, a problem for you. And he goes, we only give out loaners for if it's more than 4. Because then I said, I was told when I bought this how many $100 package for the next 4 years that when I bring my car in, I get a loaner. He goes, oh, it's only for jobs that are over 4 hours long. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I can't stay here. My kids are at home. I need to get home. I need a loaner. So it went from we don't have loaners to it's not 4 hours to we'll get you a loaner. And then in 10 minutes I was driving out of there with
That's the other story,
with ironically a Ford.
That's the other story I've heard with service is the loaner situation, because people like drop their jaws to the ground when I tell them I've never not had a Tesla as my loaner, and I've always gotten a loaner whenever I've needed it.
Yeah.
The one time I did have the Northern Service Center, I had to do something up here. I can't remember what it was, because I was going to work, and it's like 5 minutes from where I work. And so they gave me literally a brand new long-range Model S, which at the time, and this is a nice segue for you, was a 330-mile car. And I was so happy to see that over 300 miles on the range there. I was like, oh, God, I wish my car had that.
I like your segue.
That's awesome.
Changing my game plan.
I was gonna say service. We complain about service is bad, but they do a lot of updates through over the air that fixes so much stuff that others don't do, which is also a segue. So now that's the choices in your hands.
Okay, now you guys are confusing me because I've got the screen up and I don't know what. Okay. Well, we're gonna go with DJ's segue. Speaking of 300 miles, I will see your 300 miles and raise you to 402 miles.
Cheers!
Cheers, big ears. Yes. Do I have a drink? Yes, I guess I can. Water. Usually I try to have a drink, but I'm not drinking lately, so water will be.
Well, that was water. This is my NorCal margarita here, which is mostly water now.
Yes, ice, melted ice. So, what do you guys think? 402 miles for the Model S after the whole EPA debacle, leaving the car unlocked, their door open and everything. No, yes you did. No, we didn't. Yes you did. We have logs. Okay.
Seems like you did.
Okay, send us a car. We'll do it again. So, 402 miles. This is still under. Keep in mind, guys. This is still under the original Model S. I mean, there's little tweaks and stuff like that, but this isn't the redesign, the elusive redesign that Tesla to this day is still denying, but we all know is coming. So, or refresh. Is it a redesign or refresh? I forget which one.
Refresh, yes.
They don't want to say redesign. They don't even want to say refresh. So, 402 miles. Now, they say in this article, once again, this article is brought to us by Inside EVs. They talk about, I do this, I read these articles, I research, I do all this studying and stuff like that, and then when it comes to it, I always forget where I read the stuff that I want. I should just highlight it. Frankly, you're going to have to help me do this better next time. Like, just highlight something, like not have it on an actual live page, but, okay, here it is. So here's what's new that made it 402 according to Tesla. Significant mass reduction. They've made the car lighter. Don't ask how. There's here if you're watching at home, you can read this. It's a section right here. They talk about the mass reduction. The new Tempest Aero wheel style and tires, which, from what I understand, I was listening to Ian Pavelko, and he's a tire expert and wheel expert. He was talking on Trevor's podcast a couple days ago. That makes a big difference. So it says here 2% overall improvement. They increase the drive unit efficiency, which of course that's going to help, elongate your range. Maximum regenerative braking. Like, I haven't driven, maybe you guys have, I haven't driven a new Model S. Every time I get a loaner Model S, it's an older one. So I don't
Right.
know. I can't compare what the brand new Model S is like, maybe the Raven ones, in terms of their regen braking, if it's stronger than the Model 3. But I know the Model 3 is pretty damn good. I got to say that.
So speaking of service and loaners, when I went for the full self,
Are we going back there?
No, when I went for the
Okay.
upgrade computer, they gave me an old S, which had a punctured tire, like a.
Oh,
needed
yes. Yes.
So they gave me a replacement S, they gave me a loaner for my loaner, basically. And the loaner they gave me was a newer S, fully unlocked. It wasn't like locked to chill mode like what they're supposed to.
I've never had a chill mode loaner. Anyways, go
I
ahead.
haven't either.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And so driving that day, and then seeing the news of this, I've actually done the math, trying to figure out, like, hey, maybe I should trade in my 3 and go for the S. But then part of me is like, well, 2 years I'm going to be getting the Cybertruck. Because, like, the extra
So
range...
screw that plan.
Well, the extra range is, like... Look, I'm not one that has range anxiety. Like, I'll run my car down. I think I've been as low as, like, 3 kilometers left, right? So I'm not, like, worried about range anxiety. It's just, like, the extra range would be so nice. And then driving one, it's like, wow, the S is a really nice vehicle. Ironically, the only thing that throws it off for me is the screen in the middle. Like, the one that you're looking at through your wheel.
The binnacle.
Because of all my vision problems.
Come on, Frank. Let's call it binnacle. Get with it. They kick you off the show. You can't get the terminology right.
Because of all my vision problems, I like the setup of the 3, right? Just never having lights in front of you and stuff, it's just so much nicer for me. So that's, like, one of the biggest deciding factors as to why I never did it. But I gotta say, like, if I'm in that mindset of, hey, maybe I should upgrade, I wonder how many other people out there are thinking the same thing, like who have older S's or older X's and saying, hey, we can get this new one with higher range, right?
Yeah.
I'll be downgrading, if you can call the 3 a downgrade. The 3 is my next vehicle.
Okay. I don't think the 3 is a downgrade.
Yeah, I was going to say, you may be surprised, DJ, that it's not going to be a downgrade.
So I've driven a couple of 3s, including a performance, and I like the drive of the 3 so much better than my Model S. It's not even funny. That's another one of my buyer's remorse bits for, I feel like when I drove a 3, I am like right on top of the road. It's like if you're playing a driving video game and you have the option of putting the hood in front of you versus just having the screen
exactly
and you see what's going on. That's what you feel like in a 3, where you just chose the screen and that's it. My Model S, it feels like my hood is like a mile in front of me and I don't know where my front actually is. I'm used to, my entire life, my cars have been an '89 Plymouth Horizon, a '97 Pontiac Sunfire, a '94 Pontiac Firehawk, which was a big car too. I can't remember the year, Mazda 626. Then
have bigger cars.
What's that?
Dude, it's always been pretty big.
And then you had a Civic.
Then my Civic, and then my Model S. So, other than the Firehawk, I've always had smaller cars, and I'm used to that. And man, when I got the S, it was a adjustment for me to figure out how to drive that thing well. And then I'm okay. But then, Model 3 got released. I got a chance to go drive a couple people's Model 3, and I'm like, oh, God, I wish I would have waited. This is my car right here.
Yeah, you can't beat yourself up over stuff like that, though. But, it's I don't know. We got off on a tangent, really, and it wasn't my fault this time. Talking about, we started talking about range, and then we got off onto other stuff. I don't even know what we're talking about now. Let's get back to range. And it's 402. Now, do you guys think, are we happy for the most part? When I say we, I mean as a collective unit. Are we all happy with 400? Like, can society live with 402 miles, or do we want more?
This was the holy grail for me. I mean, everyone kind of was like 300 at first. And I'm like, look, at 400 miles, range anxiety is just gone at that point. Like, even in winter, like, you guys can appreciate the winter just like I do.
Yeah.
Even in the winter, if you blast your heater in the winter time, you're still gonna get like 300 miles out of that car. And I don't know what you really want at that point. Because for me, the extra range was the sort of the insurance policy that you got what you definitely needed. Like, yeah, you can baby it and get that 400 then if you really want it. But yeah, for me, like, this is the point where you really can't like say that EVs aren't a viable alternative at this point. Now I realize this isn't a Model 3, so this isn't the everyman's car. You know, this car starts at nearly $80,000 US. So not everyone can afford that, right? But that type of technology that they're, you know, just kind of like, you know, tangent here, you know, with the space program, we get things from the space program from spending all that money on that. Same thing, things will move down into Model 3 eventually to help it out. And you might not see a 400-mile Model 3, but you might see a 350-mile one.
Yeah. I think, like, more is obviously better. I want 620 mile range vehicle. And
Oh god. We
No,
lost.
Don't we all?
No, but you know
no,
what?
there's a reason why.
Okay, tell us your reason.
It's a roadster.
Yes.
Well, no, that okay. So obviously that's part of it, but
Oh, that's not. What else is there?
at 1,000, like that's 1,000 kilometers. At 1,000 kilometers, that's when you get into the territory where you can match the top end range of any other vehicle on the road, and it's no longer of, hey, how, like, literally the car can match the range of any other vehicle. Obviously, your charging time still varies from gas, but it's not as bad as most people think. But I think that's your point where, like, it's no longer like right now the S is above your average gas car, but I think if they can get up to like what the Roadsters plan to as like an S, an X, or 3 or a Y, that's at that point it's no longer just like above your average gas car, it's like destroying your average gas car, and I think that's when you're going to have a huge turnover rate.
And I think that's what they're going for. I think because they, at the beginning, have you guys, and I think DJ alluded to this at the beginning of what his explanation. It's like 300 was fine, now 400 is fine. It's like society or the industry is saying 300 is all you're going to need. And I remember people saying that with the Model 3. 300 is all you're going to need. Now 400 is all you're going to need. And now with the Cybertruck coming out, 500, and I almost called you Elon there, buddy. Franklin's saying 620, and yeah, and it's that elusive or that, you know, famous 1,000 kilometers for us metric people. So yeah, I get it what you're saying, because that truck, that behemoth that I was driving yesterday, it was a full tank of gas, yes, it was gas, and it said it had 1,100 kilometers to empty, and I'm like, what? Like, I would have hated to fill that thing.
Yeah, I was saying, but that's like, I don't know what it is in Canadian, but I'm sure that's probably about a 35, 40 gallons worth of gas going in there. I mean, that's going to be $100 US at least, probably, to fill that tank.
Yeah, 300 Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no one wants to fill that thing.
Well, that's that, and that in diesel cars, right? We'll get those 1,000 kilometers. And to Franklin's point about, or we were joking about the Roadster being 620. The funny thing is, I've always thought to myself, not to say it won't, but really, at the end of the day, how many Roadster owners are actually going to get 620 miles?
If they get 200 miles, they're lucky.
I know, because they're gonna be flooring that son of a all the time. It's like the efficiency, like that energy chart that's gonna be spiking all the time.
They're gonna have to worry about
if they're gonna
putting
make
a hole in their floor.
So right now the energy graph is kind of broken. You can peak higher than and lower than what it actually has.
It goes off the screen, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta imagine when the Roadster comes out, this is gonna be like one of the first things to update, right? To actually like make it adjust properly.
Well, this has to zoom out.
Yeah, because if you can ruin it with, like, I can break the energy graph with my 3. My 3 is not even that quick. Like, it is, but it's not, right?
No,
the Roadster, they need to update that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're busting off 1.9 seconds 0 to 60s or 0 to 100s in your case, yeah.
No,
well, and the nice thing is they can just do software updates to fix all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, that's an easy fix.
Yeah. Software updates. Hey, Dax, do you have anything to talk to us about software updates?
No, you know what I wanted to... Thanks for the segue, but no, actually, I wanted to touch on while we're talking about 400 miles and range and stuff like that.
Oh, never mind. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we were all excited. Probably it's been going for a few days, maybe a week now. When it wasn't Green the only, but it was another guy, and then Green retweeted it about some information and some code about the Model 3. Your cat is very hungry, I think.
I'm gonna let the cat out of the room here.
No problem. Yeah, no. What we were saying is, that. Correct me. You're a coder, Franklin. Correct my bad terminology of what I'm trying to explain about the 100 kilowatt hour pack in the Model 3.
Yeah, so it's just basically code that displays tidbits of information. No pun
Look what you
intended
did
here,
there.
tidbits. But so I said in the last podcast that you did that I actually have access to code now, and I'm thinking of doing a whole series about hacking a Tesla. But anyway, within yeah, Tesla already has all my contact info anyway. But anyway, the Tesla software gives you like little small tidbits of information as you go through all the code, right? If you decompile it and all that kind of stuff. So not everything that they put in there comes to light. Some of it might be things that they're practicing, things that they're trying, or things that they're looking at, or maybe they're just doing it to screw with people like myself who are looking through their code, right? So in this case of Green, he saw something somewhere that showed a bigger battery pack, and Elon squashed.
Yeah, it was a picture that someone took a picture of a car in service mode that had the designation for the pack was 100 kilowatts.
And it said the color was silver too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that maybe we, looking back in hindsight, we were all excited to believe it. Maybe looking back in hindsight, we should have known right there when it said silver.
So I saw the original tweet, and for me, it was when Green then corroborated and said, "Yeah, I've seen a few of these elsewhere," and it seemed to be like that he was saying, "Yeah, he had personally seen them," and then he, as the tweet you're showing, he said to report it that they rooted it and got inside, and it wasn't. And I don't know if you have it on that screen, but he also tweeted on later on to that hey, this is what happens when I don't see this in person. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, and then Elon just came on yesterday, was it?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday, and he puts this out to just, I guess, quash all the rumors and all that kind of stuff. He says no larger pack Model 3 is in development.
He has to say that killed the.
Yeah,
if you're interested
and
in
I get
more.
that. I get that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so he doesn't have to say anything, and that's kind of the thing, that I kind of got talking about this. It's like, yeah, it's one of those things that I probably would have just left alone, and because if it truly was, there truly was one that was in like that they had found. That was my point. Was they don't have to deny it and be lying about it if that was the case. But it seems, though, that it's true.
Yeah.
The 1 second I mute my mic to change my microphone, you guys stop talking. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Now, could it be one of these things where he's saying no larger pack Model 3 is in development, and we have to break apart that phrase? In development, that doesn't mean it's not coming. That just means it's not in development.
It's already developed. It's already developed. Yeah.
Or that it's already developed. Like, who knows?
He's gonna retweet his tweet with a comment. Surprise! Remember this tweet last week? We're launching the new packs now.
But like you
still
said,
have Battery Day coming, and man, I gotta think that some maybe it's not a larger pack. Maybe it's they're going to talk about being able to be better efficient. It'll still be 74 kilowatt for Model 3, 100 kilowatt for Model S and X. But man, again, it's the semantics. It feels like I gotta think we're going to have something coming when Battery Day finally gets here, whenever that ends up being.
It's gotta.
Human Doing in the comments made a really good point. larger pack is less important than a lower cost one. So if they
Completely
can lower
agree.
the cost, then the price of the car obviously goes down. So yeah, he makes a good point. I think also what DJ is saying is optimization of the pack that they already have makes a world of difference. Uh, like if you look at some of the other electric offerings of vehicles, like their packs are like way bigger than the 3, for example, at 75. But the 3 can go like substantially longer just through optimization, right? So I think people put a lot of weight on pack size, which is obviously important, but it's not. If you can get the price down cheaper, where the profit margins are bigger, or the cost of the car is cheaper for your average consumer, and or
Or your
you get
margins are better.
yeah, or you get your efficiency better, so you get more range out of what you're working with already. That's already a huge improvement, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be the pack size itself. There's other ways of optimizing what they're doing. So
I agree.
the man of many words,
And you know me.
usually.
Usually. Let's move on. We're going to move on to another topic, which is around, software. I know you were trying to allude to it earlier, Franklin. And there is, I've got a new setup for everyone listening and watching at home. I've got a new setup, and I don't know if you noticed the camera angle is a little different. Stupid me, I've put the cables and everything right next to my right arm here, and I keep hitting it. And if it hits it and my screen goes blank and you don't hear from me, I want Franklin and DJ to continue with the show without me, please. I will do my best to come back on if I end up doing that. Getting back to the topic, we were talking about software and stuff like that, and there's a new software coming out. It's version 2020.20.16. Is it? Now, this tweet came out by a guy named Ray for Tesla, and Ray for Tesla, and then a bunch of different emoticons and everything. He just found this update. He says he's saying it's 2020.16, but I think it's 2020.20.16 because I was wondering why would they go backwards? The last update was 2020.20.13. So this 16, it brings a bunch of new features, which is pretty cool. I don't know if it's coming now. It's got some for people watching at home. It's got Chinese, whether it's Mandarin or Cantonese, I don't know, but it talks about. So I don't know if it's here in the U.S. or if it's going straight to the Chinese market.
So just as a side, he's actually a really good source of information for Tesla from China.
Oh, okay.
And
Between him and Vincent, those are kind of like the two that I
yeah,
really
they're
follow.
they're go-tos for information. So he's like a really reputable source. He's not like fly by night.
Here's one.
Yeah,
okay.
so all the new features on this are pretty amazing. I guess you have the English version.
Yeah,
here, right?
I'm thinking to myself, I knew I saw the English version in a tweet somewhere, and I going through those screenshots, and they were all in Chinese. I'm like, what the hell did I see? Anyways, I found it. It's here. The driving visualization's improving. So they talk about stop signs and stuff like that, and we're gonna get to that. We got a little.
I wish they talked more about what they actually did in that. Are we going through the list here? Or so?
Yeah, no, we were. If I didn't, my fingers.
The first one, I wish they talked more about it. It's kind of like the whole, we got bug fixes and improvements. Like, tell me what the actual improvements are.
I know.
Right.
Well, that's software development in general, right? You see that with a lot of companies.
Oh, I'm aware.
It's frustrating though. I agree with Franklin.
The best is like Google has a policy on their Play Store to enforce that, where you actually have to give like detailed descriptions. Meanwhile, Google themselves is just like, bug fixes and improvements. So anyway, side story. Yeah.
So you know what I noticed with this update, and I saw this update when I woke up this morning, and they were talking about it. I find that, and it's not to say that many other updates aren't like this. This is typical Tesla, but this one seems to have been packed with more stuff than normal that users have, or I guess owners have tweeted out to Elon and said, this may be a good idea, or can you do this, or can you change this? And he's always come back and said, with his one-word answers, sure, or yes, or stuff like that. So, like, all these updates, other than the general improvement, like Franklin was just talking about, it seems to have come from, people requesting them. The backup camera improvements. Now when you're backing up, the side clearance cameras will come up. So alongside the backup camera, just on the bottom. So when you're backing up, you will see the rear view camera, but you will also see the left and right as you're backing up, which was asked for, and he said it was going to come, and it's here, and that's going to be really cool to see, a very cool visualization. Also, the dash cam improvement. Now they're going to put a little red dot where the moment it was triggered the recording, so you can go straight to it. That's, it sounds like a small, stupid little thing that, oh wow, that doesn't seem like a big improvement, but that is huge. That's like, I can't say how
event markers are an amazing improvement.
I mean,
the other thing I wish that would do, because you don't always have, because they're going to do it whenever Sentry mode actually activates. But what I really wish they had too, like with my my Nest Hello, they have where there's human motion, like it detects a human being. Yeah. Like I really wish they could do that too, because right now, I have obviously my older car. I have a third-party dash cam that I have in there, but I don't even have that with that. But man, that'd be a super great feature to have, because if you have something that doesn't trigger Sentry mode for some reason, but is an issue, like say somebody decides to draw a penis on your hood, like happened to me, you might want to try and find that video.
yes.
Quick aside, cool. I was at a place that will remain nameless. My car was parked there for 4 days while we were staying there, and it was raining, and someone decided that they...
You went to a strip joint for 4 days?
Well, I mean, they were really good strippers. But
for the whole PG.
He was allowed to touch my car, even though it wasn't his, and in the water drew a penis on my hood that was very visible when I came back because my car needed washed. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Sentry mode isn't sensitive enough to pick up those kind of things, which is unfortunate. And it's just software; they can fix it.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of time.
I was gonna say it's getting better, right? Just
keep in mind we're like 4 months away from the next major software update.
11.
Yeah, because this is all January, right? When they do them, give or take. So I think the last one was November.
Franklin?
Yeah.
I think
you just went all wonky.
I think you got possessed. Your microphone got possessed because you're completely staticky. Say something.
How about now?
Oh, okay. It's gone away.
I'm not allowed to talk about the new software.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Apparently, yeah, Tesla got in.
Yeah, and exercised you. Yes. Just a couple last things on this update, 2020.2016. It's coming down the pipe soon, or pike, yeah, not pipe. Walkaway door lock improvements. I remember this tweet. Someone had asked Elon if they could have the option to disable when the car locks when they walk away, if they're unloading groceries out of the car and they're coming right back.
My money's on Jason.
Yeah, it probably was Jason. And he said sure. And I can't remember how long ago it was. Months later, they're actually give you the option in the settings to turn that on or turn that off.
That's a neat little improvement there, because it's funny, when I used to have passive locks on, walk up and walk away. Whenever I'd be working in my garage, my car would just constantly door handles pop out, door handles retract, door handles pop out, door handles retract.
Yeah. For a Model 3 owner, it's the side mirrors go in, side mirrors come out, side mirrors go in, and I'm thinking
those two.
Yeah, I think to myself, one day, obviously, when my warranty's finished, is the motor's going to burn out on that? And then one day I'm going to be driving around with a mirror that I have to manually, heaven forbid that we have to manually move, open and close.
Precisely what I was thinking every time that happened, except for me, the more fragile and well-known issue with the door handles not propping out anymore. I was like, I need to stop this. So I would just leave my key inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the next one on the list here is en route battery warm up for third-party chargers, which is really cool.
That's cool.
So it's small. Like I find all these small quality of life improvements really add up
Yeah.
for really good user experience, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that was a user request or not. I don't recall
I
it,
don't recall
but
seeing it.
yeah, but that's cool. It's a cool little thing because now within the last 2 or 3 updates, now we can filter through third-party charging locations and then level 2 and level 3s and stuff like that. So maybe that they took it upon themselves, said, you know what? Now that we have these in there, we can also warm up the battery for those, not just the superchargers. So I thought that's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that. That's actually an update. Not to say any of the updates that have been coming through I haven't been looking forward to, but this one certainly is.
How about the early access one?
But yeah, I was gonna
Well,
say
you're not quite
yeah.
done on this one because if
Yeah.
you go all the way down, you should see about the interior camera for you guys.
Is there an Easter egg? Yes, an interior. Well, you know what? I'm never going to be using this sucker.
So
I don't know about
if
you
look at
guys.
that, though, it's more about they're trying to use that interior camera for safety improvements. So what it is if you get in a wreck, you can give Tesla the ability to see the footage, so they can see how well the restraint systems performed during your accident.
Is that what they want to see, or do you think they want to see that you were texting or on your phone or something like that, and then they can say, "Look, see, we have the video footage that he was on
wasn't
autopilot."
autopilot's fault.
Yeah, you got to wonder, right? But yeah, you got to wonder how many people actually toggle that on.
So I saw
share
a cabin camera, okay, and I was like, yes, finally.
And then you read it.
And then I read it. So basically, what I want is I want the cabin camera to have like dash cam sensor recording. Because if someone breaks into your car, you have your cabin camera on. And the other one I wanted to turn on is for valet mode. I know people are like against it or whatever, but you can be pretty clear on the screen, like when it's in valet mode. You know,
You are being recorded. Yes.
Yeah, like people don't like it, but anywhere you go nowadays, you're being recorded.
Oh yeah.
In any public space, it's just how the world.
Don't get me started with people's expectations for privacy in 2020.
But I was just saying, like, if you have someone in your property and you're giving it out to them, I don't see why I can't have my camera inside my car record them. Like, if I put in my own dash cam camera facing towards the driver for whatever reason, it would record them anyway, right? So
I agree.
Why not have it with the software built in? And
there are aftermarket dash cams that do have an internal facing cam for exactly this reason.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be useful because I brought my car there often enough, especially when you see it on the app and they're like trying to take out the charger or whatever, and the guy's on the screen. One day he tried telling me that like the on-screen thing got crashed. Like, I don't know, he had like this big elaborate story. I'm like, man, if only had internal, camera on.
But okay, 2 things. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Franklin. 2 things. A, if we get this cabin camera and it looks like this Tron display, then I'll use it, first and foremost. And secondly, getting back to DJ, when you said you've got a third party because you don't have the obviously the dash cam because you've got AP1. So with your third party camera, dash cam, when you take your car in for service at Tesla, do you find when you pick it up they disconnect the camera?
Every time.
I've got. Don't ask me why. Is it a policy of theirs?
Yeah. They told me because I told them because the first time I didn't realize that they did it. So I was driving for like 2 days, and then I forget how I realized that it wasn't on, and I'm like, oh, crap. Like my dash cam is disconnected, and I realized I was at a service center. I'm like, oh, I bet you they did that on purpose for, privacy / super secret Tesla stuff that we can't see, blah, 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 blah.
I get it.
But yeah, they told me at the service center, because I asked them, I'm like, hey, can you make sure you put that back in if you're going to disconnect it? And
that's exactly it. It's like, I get it for the privacy reasons, but let us know if you if you don't want to do it and you're saying it's your policy. I've never heard it being their policy, but I believe you. But let me know because you're right. You drove down the road 2 days, right? I drove a good hour. I got home and everything. Thank God I've got the dash cam on the Model 3. So my third party is just a backup to the initial one. But I'd like to know that it was unplugged. That's what ticked me off a little bit.
Truth. Okay, so when Sentry Mode just came out, I had to bring my car in, and they didn't unplug it. And truthfully, you don't see anything exciting. So makes you guys feel any better.
Yeah, no, and I get, these guys are talking about their family life to their coworkers and stuff. They don't want that recorded. I get that part, right?
But there's no audio.
Mine there is.
On mine there is.
Mine there is. You're talking about Sentry Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah, Century Mode doesn't give audio.
No, we're talking about the third-party ones, buddy.
Third-party dash cam, I absolutely have audio.
Yeah. But, getting back to this camera thing, it's good to see that they're doing this because Elon has always said, when people have brought it up on Twitter, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, when people bring up this, this interior dash cam, can you use it for this? Can you use it for that? And he says, it's going to be when ride sharing comes. Just wait. We're not turning it on till ride sharing. So now they're turning it on. I think they've opened a Pandora's box. Now it's like, I think, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking, it'd be hard for them to say, well, no, we're waiting for ride sharing. It's like, no, you're turning it on for your own data collection. So you can't use the ride sharing thing anymore. You should, implement this camera and make it useful for people.
Maybe ride sharing is closer than we think.
Maybe.
I say that
and
jokingly.
we've lost DJ.
I say that jokingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, guys? Let's just finish off on a mind blower here. Our last topic, and it wasn't even going to be a topic at the beginning of the show, like before the show. But at the beginning of the show, remember I told you there was some news that came out just before we went on. This is one of them. It's an early access. And any people in the early access program, you guys probably already know about this, probably because you got the email. But just within the last couple hours, guys, you'd say, now that we're at 11:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tesla's pushing out EAP for 2020.24.5.1. That's a mouthful. I don't know about you guys.
Say that 3 times fast.
I'll have a stroke. But anyways, in this update comes cool things. Now it features, now you're no longer required. Now I don't want to say it's explicit, but the driver confirmation to confirm through green traffic lights when there is a lead vehicle ahead of you that's not in a turn lane. So basically, for all the traffic lights and stop signs, how we have to either touch that stalk or touch the accelerator pedal to go through the green. Now it's saying when someone's in front of us, now correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if I'm reading this correctly, it's only for when someone's in front of us. We don't have to give that confirmation.
So this kind of tells me Tesla's confident enough to say, hey, we know the light's green. We lost Dax, right?
No, it's her.
Nope, he's still
Okay, sorry. So it's Tesla's confident, like Tesla's collecting all his data. They're verifying it, whether owners are saying yes, go through or not, through green lights. So Tesla's confident enough to say, hey, the car can detect greens properly each and every time. Now it's a matter of, is it safe to go through the intersection? So if the car in front of you is going through the intersection, they're kind of taking the plunge and saying, hey, if it's safe for them, it's safe for us, right? Because we're the car behind them.
It's the next step.
It's a good piece of logic, right? I mean, if you see a car in front of you, you see there's a green light, the car goes through the green light, you know you've got a green light for sure because the previous driver went first. So it's a great, again, just like, and I said this when they released this feature because I know Tesla caught a lot of shit for releasing this feature, and people are like, oh, this isn't ready, you're making people confirm, and I'm like, no, that wasn't the case at all. That was the safest way they possibly could have released the feature, and they're getting confirmation that they're right or wrong every single time they see an intersection. This is just a logical extension of that. Hey,
it's no different than
car in front of
autopilot.
you goes through, it's green, so let's go.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like autopilot, nav on autopilot, same progression. But it's this here tells me that they're confident enough. Their data shows that they can detect lights, and I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is. Like they're detecting them well enough to say, "Hey, we're going to believe what the car's saying now."
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, it is. I think it is a huge deal, and to me, I think this is maturing and growing faster than Navigate on Autopilot. Remember Navigate on autopilot when when it told us it wanted to change lanes, we have to
It was a good 2
shake the
months
wheel?
before they would let you not confirm that, wasn't it? I mean, I feel like that was a longer time than it took us to get to this.
Yeah, but we still, up to this day, we still have to nudge the wheel to actually begin the process of the lane change. Like, when is that going to go away when it just does it on its own? Like, that's what I'm still waiting for. Maybe I'm the only one waiting for that.
Maybe this is a U.S. versus Canadian thing. I don't recall U.S. drivers having to do that. Now, again, I don't have a Model 3, so I can't help you there for constant or for definite.
Yeah.
But man, I don't remember that being a thing for us. But yeah, you used to have to. I think you had to either hit the blinker or somehow confirm, and then they took that all away.
Well,
So
when it
if
first,
you're out there, let me know if I'm wrong.
yeah, I'd be curious to know. I was always under the impression that you still, even in the U.S., you still have to nudge the wheel, like it's like a nag. You have to put your hand on the wheel to show
Right.
that you want to change lanes. The only progression I know from Nav on autopilot is you have to put the turn signal on, and then it would turn. Now, the progression was now it'll anticipate the lane change, and it doesn't want you to it doesn't need you to put the turn signal on. It just wants to know that your hands are on the wheel. I thought
I
that
know a lot of people were tweeting out when they're doing all the nav and autopilot stuff. A lot of people were tweeting out like, "Cool, we have this, but can we have a less, even like a no confirmation on autopilot?" Because you're still kind of confirming now. And as far as I know, it is in the U.S. as well, but I could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
Because I know the laws differences, and our laws are a little bit slower to adapt.
Yeah, Transport Canada. Yeah.
It
So you guys
seems
are
like
watching this?
you poor guys always get everything after we do.
Well, that's exactly how Transport Canada works here. It's like they're like, oh yeah, we'll let the U.S. figure it out and go through the growing pains, and we'll sit back and watch. And it's like, oh, 4 months later, oh, it's good. Okay, now you guys can have it.
So I can almost track exactly how long it'll take for us to get features. And by no means am I complaining, because if you look at Europe, where they get features that are like half baked because of their laws, or other countries where like they're getting it way after us. So don't take it as like I'm complaining or anything.
No.
But Transit Canada kind of looks at you guys. You guys are like the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
All right, they're still alive. All right, we'll allow it.
Only. I'm not gonna make that joke. I was gonna make a dead person joke, but no, I'm not gonna go there. But a couple other things with this early access update is now the stop line that would always glow red and be red when you have to stop. Now, when the light's green and you can go, it'll be green. So that's a cool little neat visualization, I think. And by the way, this new feature that's coming out is going to be when you're on autopilot and when you're just on traffic-aware cruise control. So both things, it'll work for both instances.
I find the biggest problem with Tesla, they keep giving you tidbits of like upcoming features where you're never really happy with the update you have. It's like, all right, I just got this
So
update.
true.
Oh great, I have this, and then it's like, wait a sec, I'm already outdated. Look what's coming. So you always want what's next.
It's so true. We're so spoiled, eh? It's like I said earlier. It's like if we have to like manually move something, like I was making that analogy about the auto folding mirrors. It's like we lose our minds, and then regular people that aren't Tesla owners look at us and like, we're snobs. You truly are a Tesla snob. Okay, and that's, unless you guys have anything else to add for the topics we talked about, that's topic time. And unless anyone you've been looking at it, right, Franklin?
Yeah, I've been following it. There's only been one question.
Okay, if anyone that's watching right now has a question, a burning question that's been on your mind for the last 2 weeks and you've been dying to ask Franklin it, ask now or forever hold your peace.
So actually, I'll confirm Franklin's quote. So Eric Jean-Baptiste asked if the feature was enabled on autopilot. Does it mean you don't need FSD? No, you do have to have FSD to have this feature. But it works whether you're on autopilot or just on TAC. And it actually does say that in the software update notes there.
That is correct. And you also need hardware 3.
Yes.
Oh, Dax, there's another one in the comments there. You want to go read that?
Your private comments?
No, live comments.
Oh, Jesus Christ! No, we're not going there. But what we did last episode, in the episode before, I think we just took a few minutes before we wrapped up the show, and we just talked about. Sorry, DJ, I didn't really brief you on this little topic that we do at the end of the show. At the beginning of the show, I didn't really give you a heads up. So, by all means, if you don't have any stories, you can sit this one out. That's absolutely no problem. But what we do is we just talk about, and like I said, we haven't had an episode in 2 weeks. So instead of a week, in the last 2 weeks, anything that, test related, little episode in your life or little story in your life that is test related that we can share with one another. You have something, Franklin?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Well, you begin. And like I said, DJ, there's no pressure if you don't have anything. We can skip you, and if you have something, then by all means, but don't feel compelled to. We'll start with Franklin.
So I was going for a walk with my dogs, and there's these
Good
Tesla...
story. Now moving on. I'm just kidding.
I mean, going for a walk with my dogs is a good story. It was nice outside.
You said Tesla, so you can continue.
So, not on my street, but like a couple streets over, I've noticed there's been a Tesla car parked on the main road like every day. And finally, they get to park on the driveway. So I noticed like a little bit of damage on the side of their car. So I stopped to I was walking my dogs again, and I stopped to look at it. And they pull up with their other vehicle beside it, and like, "Oh, do you like the Tesla?" I'm like, "Yeah, I actually have one, but what happened to yours, right?" So they said they got into a little fender bender with it, and everyone was safe and everything else. But it's really cool. Like after talking to them, I was telling them about all the different events and community stuff that we used to do before the pandemic, I guess. And
yes.
and long story short, we might be able to do.
You can make it long because I don't have a story.
Well, so basically, we might be able to do a hosted event in the Ontario area, perfectly 100% legal in the very near future through this new connection I have.
Oh.
And I'll have more information about that. So if you're in Ontario, you're part of our unofficial Tesla club. We might have a meetup soon that follows all these social distancing rules from talking to these people.
That was awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited.
It's just a small world of how things work.
That's cool because, it's funny, and we haven't talked about this, and Franklin and I talk off air privately in everyday life a lot sometimes, but I run a couple Facebook groups that's Tesla related, Model Y, Model 3 and everything. Oh, and by the way, Model Y is starting to deliver here in Ontario and in Canada in general, but especially in Ontario.
There's two questions real quick, Dax. One is the Model Y in Toronto.
Oh.
So
it's funny. I was just about to talk about that.
Yeah. The first official one was delivered today in Lawrence.
Yes.
And then they've had our buddy Tesla Milton on Twitter. He was at Oakville yesterday, and he saw like a ton of them, or like a bunch of them, right? So they are starting to deliver them in Toronto. Yeah,
and I've in my group, in my Facebook group, there's a few guys that have reached out to me, and I've reached out to some of them. That when they're scheduled for their delivery, I will try to be there. I said to them, I said, if you want me there, or if I can come there. I don't want to take over. I don't want to ruin your day by me tagging along or something. I'll be there in the background, but if I can, I will do some footage. Some keep people's faces out of it for privacy reasons and stuff like that. But just
I've offered
to show.
the same if you're in Ohio.
Yes, exactly. So you may get yours. You may get some footage before we do here in Ontario. But they are starting too. Starting with Toronto.
Well, and actually, I did have a Canadian. And actually, that's a good segue. I was about to say my. Back last week on the 8th, I did it on my show. I mentioned that it looked like Vancouver was getting their deliveries coming very, very soon if they hadn't already. And it sounds like you said they are.
Yeah, they've got a handful that they've delivered in the last week in Vancouver.
One other question from Ed Jones: new owner Model 3, should I keep it on charge every time I am at home? The answer is yes. In short, Tesla actually optimizes your battery extremely well, especially when it's charged. It actually says in the manual to keep your car plugged in at all times. So if you have the ability to keep your car plugged in, do it because it's not going to hinder. It's actually going to help.
Unless you're super, 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 super anal like I am. and there's a long story for me on why I do this. It's basically since the COVID.
Did your
stuff
cat
has
just
happened.
open a door by itself?
No, my wife was sitting next to me, and
Oh.
she headed out, and now she's locked the cat in, and he's going to be pissed about that because my daughter.
You should have said yes.
I know, because I just heard the door and I
He's
looked up and the
a
door was
cat.
closing a little bit and I see your cat there. Holy.
So just a quick aside here. One of the major reasons they tell you to always keep it in is they're assuming that you're going to be gone for a long
Let's keep
period
this
of time.
PG.
And God, that was bad.
Oh, God.
So they assume that you're going to be gone for long periods of time. And so, yeah, if you're not going to be able to be there to kind of manage the car, then absolutely, definitely always keep it plugged in. But for me, because of the COVID stuff going on, we're not going anywhere very often. And so what I have been doing personally, lithium-ion batteries, quick aside, don't like to be fully charged or fully discharged for long periods of time. And so keeping them kind of in a 50% to 80% range, if you're going to be sitting there for a minute, is great. So what I have been doing through the COVID stuff has been, if I go, I'll charge to 90, but if I go somewhere, I'm not sweating plugging it back in. And then when I get down below 50, I'll plug it back in. That's kind of what I've been doing. Mileage vary. You can choose to do it or not, because frankly, to Franklin's point, the battery management system in the cars is very, 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 very good. So you don't really need to worry about it unless you're kind of like me and you're just being anal about it for the sake of being anal about it.
No,
Yeah.
it's fair.
It's true.
Like,
It's true. I've heard that's the sweet spot for the batteries. And have you been doing the same thing, Franklin? And I know you have been going many places.
well, I haven't gone anywhere. Like I've literally ran. Like I got back into running. I've run more than I've driven over the last month. So
Yes, that's awesome.
I literally don't go anywhere. I'm like extreme to the extreme. So that's what I was saying before. Like I want to host a club event again. It will be like completely 100% safe, right?
Yes, that's
especially,
what
like,
we're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, especially come from me where I haven't gone anywhere. So to answer your question, like I still keep my car plugged in just because, but I'm not like as anal about it as I used to because I know I'm not driving anywhere. So at like I have 440 or 450. Do I really need the extra 20 kilometers that I'm missing that I'm losing from drain? It's not going to make it or break it because I'm not going anywhere anyway.
No,
So
I hear you. Yeah. No.
yeah,
Yeah, things are a little more open here in Ohio. So in addition to being an IT guy and a softball umpire, a Tesla fan, I am a softball umpire as well. So I do have to do some driving. And basically what I'm doing, I have to drive fair distances for that. So when I know I got an umpiring situation going on the next day, I'll pop it up to make sure that I've got plenty of charge because sometimes I do have to go an hour away from where I'm at because of where I umpire. But yeah, generally for me, like if I charge it up to 90% and then I go to the store and I'm down to 87% after going to the store, I'm not sweating it. I'll drop it another 5%, not sweating it. As long as when I get below 50%, then I'll worry about charging it. Or if I know I'm going somewhere the next day that's going to require some beef to it.
well, at my current driving rate, if I drop like 2% on a drive, I know I'm good for like the next 3-4 years at my current driving pace.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
No, you actually got me pretty excited there, Franklin, with the talk about doing an event because the whole reason I brought up the Facebook groups that I manage is I've had people in the last month, members saying, when are we doing? Because in the previous years I've organized and I've set up some of the meetups and ride-alongs and stuff like that, and we just haven't been able to do anything this year. So it's good news that you're thinking of that because just let me know. And I've got about 5,000 people in my group that are itching to go for a drive somewhere.
And actually,
So
I'm going
this,
to coattail you real quick on that. Speaking of actual meetups, I got my mug here. I don't know if you can see
That's
it
awesome.
well. Tesla Owners Columbus is doing a meetup tomorrow. It's a drive-by for a nationwide children's hospital. That getting a whole bunch of Teslas and driving by the hospital. So,
Oh, cool.
if you're in the area, they're at Ohio Tesla on Twitter. Look them up and see if you can participate.
Nice. That is such a cool thing. I hear these things and I think to myself, you idiot, Dax, why can't you think of something like that? Huh. Okay, Franklin,
yeah,
are we all done here?
Yeah.
No more questions?
no, we got them all covered.
Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna wrap up the show, folks. I want to thank DJ for joining us. Thanks very much again. You're awesome and you're very informative and gave some awesome input, unlike Franklin did. Yes.
We got to bring him back. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, I know you're
on the show.
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, I am a guest host whore, so anytime you want me back, just flip me an invite, and if I'm available, I'll probably, I got to do Tesla Owners Online here a couple weeks ago. That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I've done 2 Front Puppy podcasts now, so
Yeah.
this is my third different podcast I've been on. So yeah, I'm happy to join
You're
you
a celebrity, dude. You're a celebrity.
Earl's funny. I
really
went 4
active with
years.
those.
I went 4 years before I got on to a show that was not mine. So,
Well, see, I can't get on a show that's not mine, so I just started my own.
Well, I was going to say Earl's been pretty active with those podcasts. Like
That's-
I thought he was joking at first.
Yeah.
Truthfully, when he started putting in, so basically, there's a board and we have like a private group chat and all that sort of stuff. But he started talking about it like, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way he's messing around because you know how Earl is, right?
Yeah, you can't take him seriously.
Yeah, and I was like shocked. He's like, yeah, we're actually going to do it. He set a time. I was like, oh, this is cool. So.
Where can people find you when you're not on guesting people's podcasts, DJ?
So if you're looking for the Tesla Tidbits podcast,
Yep.
I am on, can be found where all fine podcasts are served. Although I do have to say, I got an email from Google the other day talking about there's going to be changes to Google Podcasts. So I hope I'm still in the Google Podcast situation, that I didn't have to actually do anything there. So, we'll see, because I'm an iOS person, so I don't see Google situations there. But yeah, you can find me basically anywhere as far as getting podcasts. On Twitter, you can hit me at Tesla Tidbits. And I am actually on Instagram too, at Tesla Tidbits. I'm less active on Instagram, but it's cool because I like Instagram because there are occasions where I get a nice picture of the car or a Tesla or whatever, and it's more kind of suited to the Instagram format being picture related. So there is an Instagram as well. Other than that, I think that's kind of all for where you find me.
Perfect. You sound like someone I know that they're basically everywhere. What's the term for that? Omnipotent? I think it is.
Oh, I guess there is a YouTube channel too, youtube.com/Tesla Tidbits. I don't do a lot of video like we're doing here. I did actually do one here recently. I had an interview with David Hodge, who's the developer of the Nikola app on
cool.
iOS. It's a third-party Tesla app, which is pretty awesome. You should check that out if you get a chance. So I did an interview with him and how he developed the app and how things are going with him. But I think I've only done about 17 or 18 video episodes in the entirety of the 4 years. I did visit. I didn't really know about you guys at the time, but I did visit Toronto last year sometime and visited Trevor from Tesla Owners Online.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Had an episode with him, and we had a good time talking together. But I did say that I definitely wanted to come back. So at some point, I got to find you guys up there too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Trevor's an awesome guy.
Who? Trevor? Trevor who?
Trevor, yeah. I don't know. I have it written down on some page.
Oh, never heard of the guy. Trev. We got to get Trev back on. He's an awesome guy to talk Tesla or just talk in general.
Yeah, Trevor's good.
Yeah,
Even
And
non-Tesla
his wife
stuff.
makes delicious snacks.
Oh,
too.
Bev makes the best snacks. What? There was something she made or brought or something. I remember Trevor. Anyways, I forget where it was. I think it might have been.
Legend.
It was at the drive-in, wasn't it? It might have been at the drive-in last year.
I don't remember what she made, but I was helping him with his his automatic frunk. I was helping with the trunk one rather. I was helping with the install, and she came up with something. I remember thinking like, man, she's really good at baking. Like this is so good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did we? Oh, he's letting the cat out. No. Yeah, and she had her baking channel, and I don't know what happened. Like,
so she's been doing updates for like baking tips of the day.
She has
recently. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, she's still going.
I don't know why I'm not getting it in my feed. I gotta take a look and see what's wrong. I thought Trevor just got jealous and just banned her from YouTube or something.
Just to say, look, I got enough work to do with my own channel. Forget yours.
Yeah. Somebody, not you, motherfucker. Somebody in the chat, Andrea K, want to know if I have Instagram. I do have Instagram. I don't update it as often as YouTube and Facebook and sometimes even Twitter. So I do have Instagram. I think it's Tesla Talks. I think there's an underscore somewhere there. If you search Tesla Talks, you'll find me. You'll find that logo. Just if you're watching in the top right hand corner, you'll find it there. But like I said, I'm not. I wish I was more prevalent on Instagram, but I'm not as much. So I just wanted to answer Andrew's question before too long. But Franklin, I wanted you to tell everyone where they can find you. You have 10 seconds to go.
At home.
At home. Okay, there you go. No, where can people find you on social media if they want to get hold of you and want to pick your brain?
Oh, sorry, that's a different question. M. Frunker on Twitter, Mother Frunker on YouTube. And I'm on Instagram as well, but I don't use it all that often.
Can you give everyone your credit card number?
Next week.
Next week. Oh,
yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Next week, Franklin will be giving live on the air his credit card number for everyone.
That's right.
I'll give you a hint. The first four are 4444.
I thought it was 1111. Anyways,
we're gonna play bingo for it or something.
You had to be listening to the beginning of the show to understand that inside joke, folks. Anyways, guys, anything else to add before we go?
Dax, where can we find you?
Oh, you can. No, I hate when you do. You can find me exactly where you're watching here on YouTube under Dax M. Tesla Talks, everything else. Twitter, like I said, Instagram. I'm on Facebook, but I'm not under Dax M. I'm not under Tesla Talks. You can just find me in my Canadian channels, which is the Model 3 Canadian group, the Model Y Canadian group, and I also have a Cybertruck channel that just, for some reason, not channel, when I keep saying channel, I mean group, it was hovering around 1,000 mark, and then for some reason this week, I don't know where the influx of members came, but I'm up to over 2,000 people now. So Cybertruck, if you want to talk Cybertruck, search for me on, or search for my group on Facebook if you're brave enough to be a Facebook person. And that's where you can find me.
That guy, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, I know so many people like you to say that. I'm still kicking the can, and sometimes I stuff on Facebook makes me. But you know what? I'm committed. Like I run these groups, and they're getting bigger and bigger. I'm committed to follow through and do stuff because, like I said 5 minutes ago, I said people are like asking me just in the last month, like when are we doing a next meetup? When are we doing an next drive? So I can't just close the channel now or the group now.
Right.
Anyways, that's it for me, folks. That's it for all of us. Join us here next week. If we're not here next week, because it is summer, I'm thinking I'd like to do it every week, but it may be every 2 weeks. I'm not sure yet, folks. But join us here. Let's just say for now, safe to say, next week, same time, same place. And you know when I say that, that's not true. But look on Twitter. Look on YouTube here. The best thing to do is subscribe. If you can subscribe, what I usually do for these podcasts is I'll put it out a good 24 hours before as a premiere, and it'll show up. If you subscribe to me, it'll show up in your feed. It'll show up in an email or something, and it'll notify you that the podcast is coming up. Thanks for watching, folks. We will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.